So now we're ready to continue and start updating the 3ds Max scene. So what I'll show you now is how to update an object inside of 3ds Max, how to access an object inside of 3ds Max through Python. And if you want to find more information about what's possible, just look for the in the developers documentation, look for this item called inode. And if you look on the inode itself, you'll see that you have a lot of possible function that you can find, properties for the object. So there's a lot of stuff in there. There's a few examples of what you can do with this. There's a lot of things that you probably won't need in this context of but to update an object inside of 3ds Max is something we can do. So I'll show you how to do that. So the first thing is we need to go and grab the object and feed it into a variable to have access to it. So what I'll see is I'll do a variable here, and I'm going to call that the node to update. So that's going to be my variable. I'm going to go grab the object in the scene. And to do that, I need to go inside of the max plus module. So max plus dot. I want to access an inode. So I'm going to say inode dot. And then I want to find the node by name. So if I want to select by name, a bit the same as in Max script, I need to use a special function. So the function is called get inode by name, and I need to provide the name of the object here. Everything is in single quote in Python. So what I'll do is I'll just put the we call that, I think it's line point, and let's grab the 01 to start with, and we're just gonna grab this one and update it to see if it works, and then after that we'll move on to a more generic way of accessing this. So now that we know the node to update, so I'll say the node to update. I know that it's an inode. It's represented by an inode, and inode has this property called set position with the value. So I'll say set position z, and inside of parentheses here you just put the value. So I'll say a value of, so it's about, let's take a look at where it is now. It's probably around like 10. So let's make it to 50 so that it goes up and we can see it move. So I'm going to save this file, save, and let me check for the syntax. So the node to update, max plus inode, get inode by name, and that's the name that we're looking for. We know that there's an object inside of max. It's a point helper called line point underscore 01. The only thing we want to update is the position in Z, so set position in Z. And like I said, there's many functions that you can find to update rotation or parameters or modifiers or things like that. So take a look at that, and you can find a lot more. So the inode is the one that you want to look for. I'm going to minimize this. Just make sure, did I save? I think I did, yeah. So I'm going to minimize this, grab my control object, and evaluate. So it's going to ask me for the file, but I don't really have a file for now. I don't really need to use the file for now, but you see that this has moved up, and it's probably at a value of 50, so that's good. If I go back to my script and I change the value maybe to something like 100 to make it very obvious, I'm going to save this, minimize this. It's going to ask me again to pick up a file, but that's fine. I'm just going to go back to my scripts here, grab that CSV file, and you see that it moves up. So we know that it updates with from Python. So that's good. We can continue from there. So now what we need to do is we need to find a way to iterate through all the values that we got from the CSV file and set the position in Z or Z for all of the line point helper. So we're going to make it a bit more generic. So I'm going to use the same functions, but now I'm going to use a for loop, and the for loop that allows you to go through the content of an array is simple in Python. So I'll say for row, which is the rows in the CSV content. I'm going to say for any column, so that's how you define a for row. And in Python, there's no parenthesis to define what's going to be executed under for. It's all the indentation that is very important. So if I go back here and I say I indent, and I indent everything that will be indent in here will be executed. So before I jump, I'm going to set all the values to 100 for now. And actually, no, I'm not going to set all the values to 100. I'm going to set all of the line point 01 will go from one to after the other to the content of this. So if I say for row in the CSV content, row now represents a row inside of the CSV file. So for that row, I need to say for any letter, a variable, in the row. So for all the elements in the row, do the following. And then we are going to, I'm just going to move this aside so that it's indented. So everything here will be updated with the sorry, every element here in the, so let me rephrase that again. Every item in a row the for loop will be executed for every item in the current row. And if you have multiple rows, it will do this for multiple rows. So if let's say that you have multiple graphics or multiple stocks, for example, and you want to show the graphics for multiple stocks, you could read all these stocks in the same CSV file and do all of this only once through a single script. So, but right now we know that we only have one row, so that code here will allow us to go through all of the elements in that specific row, and we're going to update all of this here. So the Z position is what I want to update. So instead of being a value of 100, I'm going to take the value that is currently in the value of J, sorry. And right now J is a string, so I need to convert it to a float so that it can be sent to as a float to 3ds Max. So J is being converted to a float, and it's going to set the position. But right now, every single item will update line 0.01, which is not exactly what we would like to do. But let's just save this for now and see if that works. So I'm going to press update. I'm going to pick any CSV file now. And now we see that it has been updated a few times, so that we know that it works, and that it has been updated 10 times actually, because we have 10 elements in that CSV file. So not very exciting for now. We need to update all of the items. So to do that, I need to iterate through the name of all of my helpers. And to do that, I'm going to use a very simple technique. I'm going to create an array in which I'm going to put all of the names for my helpers. So I'll call that the point helper names, and those are the names of all the point helpers. I'm going to create an array, so that's how you create an array, and all of the names will be put in single quotes. So I'm going to grab this one here, line 0.01, copy this, and I'm going to put it in here. Now we have line 0.01, and I'm going to put the 10 of them so that we can iterate through the 10 of them. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste this second 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I'm just entering all the names of all of those line point helpers that I have. So if I've got different names, I can rename them differently, but now I'm just going to iterate through all of those. 6 and 7, 8, 9, and I've got one too much, so I'm just going to delete this one, so that's 0, and I'm going to delete the last one here. I don't need that one. So we now created an array that contains all of the point helpers. I cannot use a for loop because I already have one, but what I can do is I can say current item, which is just going to be a variable, and I'm going to set it to a value of 1. And every time that this updates, I'm going to add 1 to current item. So I'll say current item is equal to current item plus 1. And now it's going to be it's going to increment of 1 every single time. And instead of using the precise name here, or the explicit name, I'm going to say I'm going to grab the name of the point helper names here, copy this, and I'm going to paste that here, and that's going to be the current item number. So I'm looking in the array at the current item position. So first it's going to look at current item 1, that's line 0.01. Then it's going to move at the end here, it's going to increment of 1. Then it's going to look at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it will assign a value to all of these. So I'll go File and save this, minimize, grab that CSV file. So that's in the scripts here, CSV, open, and you see that now I probably have an error in my numbers that I've got here. So let's go back to the script, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Actually, I'm going to just copy this one here. I was missing one, copy. And 9 and 10 will be here. So let's make sure that that's all good. File, save, and I'm going to try this again. Grab the CSV file, open it up, and I've got this again. Okay, I found my. That's the thing when you write scripts and you go from one language to the other. There's certain differences. And actually, a good point to mention is in Python. If you are browsing through an array, you need to start at 0 and not at 1, which was my mistake here. So it was getting out of range because I started at 1, so at the end it was 1 above. So it's just a quick note. So in MaxScript, your arrays start at 1, and in Python, they seem to start at 0. So small difference there. So now if I do with current item is equal to 0, and I do save this, and I execute that Python file. Now if I go back here and I grab the Python file, not the Python, but the CSV file. So temblog scripts and CSV. I've got 1 and 2 here, so that's the result. But if I go back to Excel, let me just bring that back up. So let's change the value. Let's say value of 50 to start, maybe 10, 12, I don't know, 100, 90, 10, 15, 20, 150. That's going to be quite high, but that's fine. And 90. And I'm going to save this as, so save as, and I'm going to call that line 3. It's going to be a third one. Save it. And yes, that's fine. I don't really mind about losing some Excel functionality here. So if I just update the CSV file and I go grab that file, which was here. So I need to go back to my blog, scripts, and I'm going to grab line chart 3. And you'll see that it's going to update with the content that I've given it. So this is a great system in terms of what we have is we have a Python file that resides exactly where we've placed it with program file, Autodesk, 3ds Max, and that's what gets executed when we are using that button. But the only problem that we have with this is that we need that CSV that read CSV file, Python file. We need it to be in that folder. So if we want to distribute this file or this scene to our studio or to multiple people or even to people in different location, we need to make sure that this Python file is saved in the right folder of 3ds Max, which is something that when we share file, it doesn't always happen. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how to embed this Python file as part of this custom attribute, so that when you save the file, the script is saved within the file, and you can send the file to anybody and without having to worry about the Python file. So we're going to take a look at that in the next video.